And it came from two different companies, Uber and Lyft. And during that time period, there were options that we had to work through the PUC in order to try and make some changes to be able to allow it to continue. Although we weren't able to do it through that process, there's been a spirit of cooperation, bipartisanship, and the ability to work together to provide to people in Pittsburgh and southwestern Pennsylvania with options when it comes to transportation that have now taken effect. And that's good, because laws are created, but technology always keeps moving forward. And it's important that the laws stay with technology so places like Pittsburgh and all of Pennsylvania can continue to compete locally. Today we're here to announce that cooperation in Harrisburg so that in the future, Uber and Lyft and other ride-sharing options will have an equal footing with the traditional taxi services that are already provided. And equal means equal. The rules and regulations that apply to one will be the rules and regulations that apply to all. And we have leaders both in the Senate and the House who will help us to be able to craft those guidelines, work with the Corbett administration, and work with our local officials to make sure that that happens. It's my honor to recognize one of the partners that has been helping to pull all those pieces together. I had the good fortune to spend a week with them in Europe 2 weeks ago, where we studied multimodal transportation opportunities, and a lot of them that we'll be bringing back to Pittsburgh. That's our county executive, Rich Fitzgerald.
Thanks, Mayor. It's great always to be in Pittsburgh, though, that's for sure, regardless of where we go. You know, this is something I'm glad to stand here with the mayor, I'm glad to stand here with Senator Fontana and Representative Mustio and Representative Barr, because this is something that our city and our region needs. Not just the city, but the community. And it also sends a signal, because when other progressive cities, other cities that are moving forward in a positive way economically are doing this, we need to do it too. We need to figure out a way to do it. Mayor's right, got to make sure that the rules are there, the rules are enforced, that there's regulations in place. But we've got to move forward. And for people that want to block this, I use two analogies that I used in my press release the other day. I'll never forget in the late 80s when there were people on city council who said we should never have self-serve gas stations in the city of Pittsburgh because it's a fire hazard. We've got to have trained people pumping gas. We can't let the citizens pump their own gas. We've got to have trained professionals pump the gas. Well, we know where that went. We see that people do know how to pump their own gas. And then a generation before that, we had people that said, we've got to have trained elevator operators. You cannot allow individuals to press those buttons themselves. You've got to be trained. It's protectionism. That's what it is. It protects things that need to move forward. And we need to move forward with Lyft, Uber, the whole, you know, as technology, as the mayor says, moves forward, we got to have that. So I'm urging the legislature, I'm urging the PUC, let's move forward and make this happen. This is a public safety issue. And I can speak for my own kids. My own kids who go on the south side once in a while and maybe have a drink or two. And they want to take a cab. They want to be responsible. They don't want to get in a car. They don't want to get in a car with their friends. But you know what? If they're going to wait an hour, they lose patience, and then they start to do things they shouldn't do. They get in a car with maybe somebody that did have a couple of drinks. If they have options, if they have the ability to get in a vehicle that can get them home quickly from one of these technologies, and that's what young people are using today, and that's what we've got to respond to this market. So, Mayor, I appreciate your leadership on this. You've done a great job. We're with you. Let's move forward. Thank you.
So I don't have kids, but I have in that example. So this is a bipartisan effort. It truly is, and it's both the city and suburban elected officials understanding that there's an opportunity here. Lyft, Uber, Airbnb, Etsy, they're not going away. They're only going to grow, and other opportunities are going to be there. And we need leaders in Harrisburg who have that foresight to be able to find ways to adapt laws to allow Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania to remain competitive. And the state Senate, we have no greater leader than our very own City of Pittsburgh Senator Wayne Fontaine.
Thank you. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I want to start off by thanking Mayor Bill Peduto, Chief Executive Rich Fitzgerald for their support in my legislation, their emails and letters and calls. It certainly helps to have them there. Ladies and gentlemen, I read all my emails, everything I get from whether it's internal or external. I've received hundreds and hundreds of emails about this service. The message is very, very clear. There's a demand for these types of services, but there's not adequate service. It's missing. And that's what I'm responding to. I've gotten some emails asking me, why are you doing this? I'm doing it because my constituents want me to do it. The message is clear, so I stepped up to do that. And since the new ride-sharing services have entered our city and county, the problem is we don't have the licensing in place. This is a new era, it's a new way of looking at things, it's a new way of doing things. So under the current Pennsylvania law, there is no actual legislation, regulation, oversight that's in place. So I have introduced Senate Bill 1447 to address that. This bill would provide a permanent remedy by legalizing and regulating this new transportation network system. And because the General Assembly will not be back in session until September 15th, and there is a limited number of days even after that to pass legislation through the Senate and the House before the end of the year, this has become our long-term goal. However, we need something in the meantime. And in the meantime, I've also introduced a resolution in the Senate, and in the House, Representative Mulchaney introduced a resolution, and I also sent a letter to the PUC urging the PUC commissioners to expedite the consideration of a temporary emergency license for both Uber and Lyft. And I want them to grant that license because we think it is an emergency to have that license, especially through these warmer summer months. Under the regulations that oversight, and this is important to know, I asked them to pass it, to give them the license, but under the regulations and oversight that my Senate Bill 1447 has set forth. So we're not asking them to do it with no rules. We're asking them to do it under the legislation criteria set in Senate Bill 1447. So as you can see, this is a two-pronged approach. It would provide short-term relief and a long-term solution. And as I've stated earlier this week, I stood on the floor of the Senate with reasonable regulations oversight. Ride-sharing is an asset to this city and to Allegheny County. It's going to be an asset to the transportation network. It's going to be an asset in many, many ways. You know, the city of Pittsburgh is a city that's moving very fast and moving forward. This legislation passed, these services will help it move faster in many, many ways. Thank you.
Yes, Senator, and as the Senator expressed, we have support from our South Hill State Representative Aaron Mulchaney, who couldn't be here. But nothing moves forward, not in Harrisburg, not anywhere, without bipartisan support, and especially earning the support of the Corbett administration and getting the PUC involved requires Republican leadership as well. One of our senior members of the Republican delegation from the South Hills, Representative John Barr.
The relentless advance of technology changes so many aspects of our life at a rate which surpasses our archaic statute's ability to be relevant. So it is time for a change. In the short run, I've been disappointed that it seems that the PUC has been more interested in hitting the delete key than to enabling folks to arrange rides. My vision is a bit bolder than treating this as another taxi service. My vision is to understand that restaurants are licensed without a public utility commission. Carnivals are licensed without a public utility commission involvement. Amusement parks licensed without public utility commission involvement. And frankly, I think that model would serve us well. Let's lay down the ground rules for the people who want to enroll, the people who want to be licensed, be registered, suitable inspection, suitable insurance, suitable safety records, and let's go. Let's just go ahead and book it. I think it's that simple, and I'm delighted that today, I think, establishes in a very public and meaningful way the cooperation of the city, of the county, of the Senate, in the House, Democrats and Republicans, all understanding it's time to go ahead and press enter. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's a kind of interesting pairing, isn't it? Progressive Democrats with free market Republicans all coming together on that same issue of creating an opportunity. And one of the things that we haven't spoken about is the critical need for transportation options for economic development as well. The airport corridor to downtown is booming. Probably the most development that is occurring in Allegheny County, maybe even more than in areas in downtown Pittsburgh. And the representative from that area, and somebody who I would consider one of those free market thinkers, Representative Mark Mustio, as well, is here to support.
It's great to have bipartisan leadership. Mayor Peduto, County Executive Fitzgerald, we need this type of focus on this issue in order to get things done in Harrisburg. Senator Fontana said we have very limited number of days left. He also said that we need to work on this emergency issue. I'm willing to support that as well. If provisions from my legislation are also encompassed in that, if the companies are willing to implement those, I'd be more than happy to support that. I found out on Monday that my son is a driver for one of the companies. I had no know that. And as the insurance being here, it kind of made the hair on my back of my neck go up a little bit. But we had a little talk. But I am in total support of the competition. So total support of moving forward. I think County Executive Fitzgerald said it right. You know, there's safety issues that we've talked about from the company side, but there's also public safety we're talking about, whether it's young people or visitors. You know, I heard a story from people from Visit Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago where we had somebody from out of state, from Seattle, that was over on the south side and could not get a cab back to their hotel in Pittsburgh, and they walked. Think about that. They walked. 11, 12 o'clock at night. Not probably the best thing. So it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and we're going to work on it, and I appreciate these two leaders focusing on it to make sure that that gets done. Thank you.
So I don't drive them, but I use them. I've used them both in the city of Pittsburgh and also in Washington, D.C. and in Philadelphia. Very easy to use if you haven't downloaded it. And I know that some of my friends have been late to the game, and they say to me, I don't know why I didn't try this right when it started. We have a couple of representatives as well from Uber, well, a representative from Uber and some users from Lyft. Well, let me start with Dave Barmore from Uber.
Thank you, Mayor Peduto. My name is Dave Barmore, here on behalf of Uber. I wanted to come and say how excited we are that Pennsylvania is stepping up to the plate among many other jurisdictions to introduce new legislation to encompass this exciting new technology called rideshare. Uber is now in 150 cities around the world. And in all of these cities, including Pittsburgh, we offer an unprecedented level of safety and accountability. For riders, that means never having to wait out on a dark, deserted street corner trying to catch a ride. As a technology company, we can track demand. That's why we came to Pittsburgh. We can see that people were opening up our app only to find that they weren't operating at that time. We can track that demand. That's why we came to this city. And for drivers, it also means that a way for them to supplement their own income and to get to different parts of the city that they weren't able to before. At the end of every trip, riders and drivers rate each other to help ensure the highest quality tour experience. I'm joined here today by a number of our partner drivers who quite frankly can speak more eloquently on this subject than I ever could. I hope you all can take the time to hear their stories of how Uber's impacted their lives these drivers are the ones that the legislation truly affects. In closing, we're excited to be here to celebrate this exciting development. We pledge our support working with Mayor Peduto, Senator Fontana, and other legislators that are here, and the PUC helping to make sure ride sharing is a permanent home in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
And finally, so how about the people that are using it? The difference it makes to them and why it is a critically important part of not just Pittsburgh, but throughout all of Pennsylvania. My good friend Selena Schmidt and Sarah Birmingham.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a PIT student and a server right back there in Market Square. I've been using this since it came to Pittsburgh. It's one of the first users. A really big thing for me has been getting back home after I get off of work. Because sometimes, I work at a bar, I don't get out until 2 or 3 a.m. And I live pretty far from my bus stop, so walking there late at night, not always the best feeling, especially when I have a couple $100 in tips in my pocket, a little unsafe. So I think one of the things that Lyft has really done for me is provided a measure of safety. One of my Lyft drivers actually waited for me to get inside the house before he drove away. It's Marty right there. He did that. Thank you, Marty. So Lyft has made my time in Pittsburgh so much easier, so much more convenient, so much more safe, and I would be heartbroken if they had to have Pittsburgh.
I'm Ubering back to Pittsburgh about 6 months ago. And I'm really excited to be part of all the amazing things that are happening in this incredibly revitalized city. I'm really excited about almost everything except transportation. So I live in a community that has been effectively redlined for transportation. I've got some decent bus transportation on the north side. We've got some streets that are good. But I have literally waited for more than an hour for a taxi and called several times, and finally after an hour I've been told that taxi's not coming for me. And that's not one time, that's multiple times. And for me, it's especially important because the work that I do is to bring early education materials to some of the poorest communities and the communities most in need. And guess what? Those are the same places that are redlined for transportation. So if I'm going to take a bus there, and I have and I do, it means getting there an hour or 2 hours ahead and waiting an hour or 2 hours afterward to be able to get back. It means I can't get a cab. It means the people that I serve can't either. But rideshare makes a difference. I have never once had a driver not show up within 10 minutes, no matter where I was. Whether I was in Allentown, whether I was in Sheridan, whether I was in the Mon Valley, the Hill District, Larimer, or the Owen North Side. They came right away and they didn't ask, why are you here? They said, wow, I love driving, I've met some great people, or would tell me about this community. I have friends that live all over the globe. I've had the opportunity to live lots of places. Lots of those places have rideshare. For me, this is an important part of making this city, my city, the city that I choose. So thank you very much to everybody.
Okay, I lied. So finally, a word from the people that are benefiting from this as well, not just by the service, but by the opportunity to have a little bit of extra income or a job. And I'd like to introduce one of the drivers from Uber, Fernando.
I'm a transplant from Portland, Oregon, and my wife works over at UPMC, but it's been a blast driving for Uber. People in Pittsburgh are fantastic. Once I was able to navigate the Pro Pit Bridge, figure out which lane to be in, it's been a blessing since day one. And I can't say enough positive things about driving for Uber and people in Pittsburgh. It's been actually a pleasure and an honor to get people, pick people up, whether it's in Carson or the airport, and delivering them to where they need to go. It's just been awesome being here in Pittsburgh.
What's your name?
Fernando Long.
To take questions on this issue up here and other issues afterwards.
So have you heard from the PUC on the request for temporary license or permission? What's up?
We've got, they have to file the emergency application Uber and Lyft, which I understand they both have. The next meeting is July 24th for the PUC to consider those applications. So it won't be till then before we hear exactly what their vote might be.
But is it on the agenda for the 24th?
I understand Uber is. I wasn't sure as of yesterday. I'm not sure about Lyft, but I understand Uber can be. As long as they're applying for an emergency application, temporary license, they're on. But I understand Uber's application was in before Lyft's was, so they were on.
And operations continue until we get this settled?
Operations will continue until then, and that's why we're asking for it to be expedited and get it done. The soonest we can do it is obviously July 24th. We want that to happen because we want them to be in compliance of the legislation that I've put forth by that time. So in other words, they're issued the license based on the criteria in the legislation.
The reason that we can't currently use this is a lack of licenses and everything like that. Isn't the solution to just remove that bit of legislation to deregulate a bit rather than just add more and more regulation?
Well, I mean, that's a good point, and I think Representative Marv was alluding to that to some degree. But right now, the PUC, I've worked with the PUC. They've looked at my legislation. I've worked with them to put it together. We're looking for a solution now, a short-term solution to it. Going forward, we can look at a lot of different things, and one of those avenues could be to deregulate to some degree. But right now, what we want to do is get the emergency temporary license in place, and then we'll see how the future, what it holds as far as other options.
Any other media questions this time? Yes, sir.
The legislation actually creates another type of company, another transportation network. And everybody's different. I mean, as I think the mayor indicated, the chief executive, this is a different type of service. So the criteria and the oversight has to be different, the regulations. So to say that one is less than the other, I think is unfair. We're creating the regulations and the oversight based on what other, by the way, based on what California, Colorado, and other states have done. This isn't something we're just pulling out of the sky. There's a track record in some of these other states of how this works, and that it does work well.
Any questions? Thanks, everybody.